Trump derangement syndrome and politicizing Washington, D.C. This should be about victims of crime. You know, I want to talk about a story that I think is very relevant. Brendan Ofori died after being shot on a Green Line Metro train in 2023. Only on 4, his mother tells what prosecutors told her about dropping charges against the 17-year-old's accused killer. This was a 17-year-old black teenager here in Washington that was murdered, and prosecutors dropped the charges against the man. They have photos of him, eyewitness accounts, and his murderer was never prosecuted, never went to jail. And I think that is the kind of judicial wrong that has not only happened here in Washington, D.C. to many innocent people and their family, but it's happening all over the country. And this is a very relevant conversation because when innocent people are being murdered, especially teenagers, and their murderers are having charges dropped, or they have judges that let them off on lenient crimes, or say they're a repeat offender that has been arrested and arrested and arrested over and over and over again, and they keep getting released and they keep getting released, and there's another victim and another victim and another victim. This should go beyond political boundaries. And I can't understand how this becomes a fight about my Democrat colleagues' Trump derangement syndrome and politicizing Washington, D.C. This should be about victims of crime. And this should be the fact that we should have a justice system that holds people accountable for the crimes they commit against innocent people. And right now we're seeing on the news an innocent woman that came from Ukraine. This woman felt safer coming from a war in Ukraine. She thought she was coming to America to be safe, and she was murdered on a train in cold blood, murdered. And we're seeing crimes like this day after day, night after night, and it goes on and on and on. And anybody wants to argue about the National Guard? What, you people want the National Guard coming in and handing out water bottles when there's some sort of natural disaster? Is that just what the National Guard is supposed to be for? Well, I'm going to tell you what's up. The National Guard is also here to protect and keep our streets and our country safe. They aren't meant to be sent over to foreign wars to go die in some foreign country. The National Guard should be used for Americans to be safe, businesses to be able to prosper, people to be able to walk with their families down the street. And I'm going to tell you something, people of Washington, D.C. in this room, Congress has jurisdiction over the District of Columbia. That's the reality. Democrats, you may not like that, but that is the reality. The bills that are being passed here and being in a public setting, being discussed and debated and being voted on are for your safety. Because what's happened, and you know it because you live here, you are living in a city filled with crime, And we have witnessed it as members of Congress. We've lived in it. A Democrat congressman just a few years ago got carjacked. We've had interns murdered on Washington, D.C. streets. And you know it because in your communities, you know people and you witness it. There's drive-by shootings, there's drug deals, and the youths of this community are being done wrong. Absolutely being done wrong. And so I'm telling you right now, I can tell you I'm from Georgia. Yes, that is where I am from. However, I come to work in Washington, D.C., and I live here when I am here for work, and I happily go back home when I am not here for work. But I will tell you, there is a commitment by Republicans on this committee to stand up against crime and do what is right for the American people. And I 100%, and so do my colleagues, 100% support the use of the National Guard to clean up the crime and stop the criminals from murdering and raping and stealing and making cities unsafe. And that's the reality of where we are today. And so this debate can continue back and forth, but it is ridiculous. Fighting for criminals is a losing argument. Fighting against crime will win every single time on anybody that has common sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.